Peace and welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Today, folks, we got a lot to talk about. First, let's talk about what's happening here in the state of California, as there has been a big move made by Governor Gavin Newsom in appointing a new woman, a black woman, to replace late Senator Dianne Feinstein. We'll talk a little bit about that. Also, President Trump is on trial. His civil fraud case, folks. His civil fraud case starts today, and he was in the courtroom to start at the beginning of the proceedings. We'll share with you the latest about that. And of course, today is Monday, so it's time for us to do our Reclaim Your Wellness with Dr. Bridget, MD. Folks, stay with us. It's all happening on today's edition of The Culture, right here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. All right, folks, welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Happy Monday, folks. Happy Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. I had a phenomenal weekend, and so I'm so very happy for you to join us for another exciting edition of The Culture. Folks, we got a lot to talk about, but I do want to let you know, and I need to let you know, we are streaming on so many platforms where you can now find us. Certainly, you can go to our home website at blackstarnetwork.com, blackstarnetwork.com. You can download the app for free. Follow us on social media. But your financial support of the work that we're doing here on this digital space is absolutely critical. So make sure that you do your part to give something to help us power this movement that we call Black Star Network. And we thank you so much for your support. Also, we're streaming live on Amazon News on your Fire TV, as well as on Plex TV, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can find us there under News and Opinion. So make sure you check us out on Plex TV. We're also now featured on Amazon's Prime Video. So you can go to Prime Video and check us out there. At least let's show them a little bit of how they can check us out on Prime. There you go. You can find us on the Prime Video app under Live TV, then go to News. Or you can find us at Amazon.com under Prime Video, Live TV, then News. So make sure you do that. And we're also on Freevee. There we go. We find us under On Now News right there on Freevee Network. And we're continuing to expand the movement for Black Star Network. And again, folks, we thank you so much for your support. All right, let's jump right into it. First, the big conversation. Checking in all the way from the state of California's Governor Gavin Newsom tasked LaPhonza Butler, Miss LaPhonza Butler, to replace the late Senator Dianne Feinstein. Miss Butler will now be sitting in Miss Dianne Feinstein's seat. There she is right there. And this is a big news. Of course, one of the big promises that the governor has made is that he would have a black woman sitting in the seat once the senator, once the seat was available. Now, he made this announcement amidst a lot of controversy, a lot of political maneuvering is happening. And folks are very happy that there are some folks who are very happy, rather, that he has decided to move forward with Ms. Butler. Ms. Butler is not only a black woman, she's also a Democratic strategist. She has worked directly under Vice President Kamala Harris. She's also has done work with Emily's List, which is a nonprofit organization that promotes women in politics, women in powerful political spaces. So she's been doing that work. She's also she has some strong ties here in Los Angeles, as well as in Maryland. She's a registered voter in Maryland. But she's planning to switch that here for the state of California. And she's a part of the LGBTQ community. And folks are happy that there's some representation from that community sitting in the seat of late Senator Dianne Feinstein. So this is a major announcement, and I'd love to get your take on this, especially for those of you who may live in California. What's your take on this and how we move forward? This puts another black woman into the Senate. She is the third black woman. Can you believe this, folks? She's the number 3 black woman in the Senate. So there's some history being made there as well. So a lot of things are, a lot of history making is happening right there. Let me just share this latest from Politico about Miss Butler. Take a look at this, folks. This is from Politico. They say that Governor Newsom fulfilled his promise he made to name a black woman to the upper chamber following the departure of Harris to the vice presidency and his selection of Senate Alex Padilla to her old seat in 2021. Now, Butler is a veteran organizer and well known in Newsom's orbit. He contemplated hiring the Southern Mississippi native to be his first chief of staff. And she was a one-time partner in the San Francisco-based consulting firm now known as Bear Star Strategies with his top political advisors. She has remained a confidant of Vice President Kamala Harris after serving as a senior strategist on her 2020 presidential campaign. All right, crew, let me get your take on this. I know we got a lot of sisters that are in here, especially a lot of politically astute sisters. I see my sister Corinna Denise. Good afternoon, Corinna. Good to connect with you once again. Pauline, I see you. Thank you for checking in. Lori Parks, you said congratulations. The Democratic Party needs new blood, new ideas. She is most definitely qualified for the position. Okay, Lori, I hear you. Definitely bringing that in. Lori, thank you so much. I hope that's I'm saying that name correctly. Aya, you said good job. Thank you, Governor Newsom. Thank you, Aya. Hopefully we get to hear more from you as we have these conversations today. Cindy D, you checked in and said she will be the last Black lesbian woman in the Senate. She sounds like a good choice to me. Wow. You said she would be the last Black woman chosen in the Senate. Why you say that, Cindy? Why? Why you say that like that? I want to know. Talk to me, Cindy. Let me know what you're thinking about that. But I appreciate you posting your thought. Pastor Damon Blissett, good afternoon. Thank you so much. Robin, my sister, Robin Welch, you said Farajii? I love it. Okay, so she's getting some approvals here from a lot of people. Lori, you said something, and I think Senator Dianne Feinstein would agree with you on this one, Lori. She said, Lori, you said, don't care about her personal life. That's between her and God. I'm interested in her getting the job done to help the taxpayers to benefit. I couldn't agree with you more. I don't care. Everybody's talking about who's sleeping with who. Doesn't matter to me, folks. Tiana checking in. You said, finally, somebody under 50. How about that, Tiana? Finally, someone under 50. I hear that. All right. Oh, you said, Cindy, you meant the first Black lesbian woman. Not the last. I was like, why you see the last one? All right, Cindy. All right. Thank you for the correction. I appreciate that. And yeah, Tiana, to your point, finally, somebody under the age of 50 who's taken in the seat, right? Because Senator Dianne Feinstein, these are folks that have been around for years, folks. And you definitely have to get some new blood. Who else has checked in? Let me see here. Who else we got here? I see my man Conscious Thought has checked in. Good afternoon, Conscious Thought. Thank you so much, brother, for checking in as always. Yeah, this is going to be very interesting, to say the least, crew, about how this is going to play out. There's still, and if based upon how this whole process is going to go, there's still going to be an election for the seat. She's filling in at a time where there's a hotly contested debate election that's going to be still happening. The thing about that is, y'all remember Senator Barbara Lee? She wanted to have the seat. She was hoping that Governor Newsom would take her out of the race and put her into space for a little bit, but he did not. He did not decide to do that. So I know that, and I'm looking, their election is next year. And yeah, they're going to be going to, the Senate's going to be going to their election next year. So it's going to be Representative Katie Porter, Adam Schiff, and Barbara Lee, all Democrats from California. And Representative Lee has been trying to get this seat for the Senate. And so she has not been happy about this. She actually kind of came out against the governor. She criticized Gavin Newsom after he indicated he would make an interim Senate appointment should a vacancy arise. And she said, quote, the idea that a Black woman should be appointed only as a caretaker to simply check a box is insulting. What y'all make of that? Representative Barbara Lee, she wanted to get the seat, but a couple of weeks ago, she made that statement that this is only, can we say a box check vote, box check appointment? Do you agree with her on this, folks? Do you agree with her? She was hoping to get the seat, but now she got this other sister, and he chose this other sister. And so it feels to Representative Barbara Lee, it feels a little bit like he just want to seem like he's the good guy. She said, quote, she said, the idea that a black woman should be appointed only as a caretaker to simply check a box is insulting to countless black women across this country who have carried the Democratic Party to victory election after election. This is what she said in a statement back in September. And the reason that he put out there, Governor Newsom put out there, that he did not decide to appoint Representative Lee to fill the vacancy is that he didn't wish to get involved in the primary. He said he would appoint an interim candidate while the primary played out. And that's where he stood on the situation. So what y'all think of that? What do y'all think on that one? You think she got something going, or is this something that just not need to be discussed? Cindy, you checked in and said Barbara Lee is running for the seat, as is Katie Porter, right? Tiana, you said, but no disrespect to Representative Lee, but Representative Lee is 70 years old. She needs to retire. Ooh. Yeah. Monkey Confections, you checked in and said, what will this mean for the Black community? Tired of symbolism and black faces representing their other identity with actual policy for them. So there's some contention in here. Corinna, you checked in and said, I'm not interested in Adam Schiff being senator in California. He can remain the House in my view. Tiana, you said correction, 77 years old. So she wanted the seat at 77. Monkey Confession is saying he's tired of the identity politics. When it's some work going to start getting done. And Robin Welch, you said he made a promise. He stuck with his promise. He got a black woman, and LaPhonza is younger. Yeah, she's definitely younger. Karen, my sister, checking in all the way from the great city of Los Angeles as well. You said Ms. Butler is highly qualified to be the caretaker of the Senate seat of the late Senator Feinstein. She is highly respected in California and Washington. Congratulations, Senate appointee Butler. So it's getting a little bit mixed bag because Lana, you checked in and said very, very, very disappointed in Newsom not picking Bass. This is why I am over Democrats and their strategy. Well, Karen Bass, if you're talking about Mayor Karen Bass doesn't want to go back into Congress. When she was running for when she ran for mayor, she had already indicated that she wanted to be mayor of the city of LA. And I you know what, to her credit, I think she should be mayor of the city of LA. You know what I'm saying? Like, she did the Congress thing already, but this is her home. She's from South LA and this is her home. So I'm not surprised that he didn't pick her. So I don't even think she was really a part of the conversation in that respect, Lana. But I would rather have her mayor of LA than putting her back into Congress. Laura, you said Barbara Lee had her time. It's time for new candidates, new blood, the next generation to come on in. Monkey Confessions, you went back and said he picked a black woman that checks off 3 boxes. I mean, and you know what, folks? That might be the reason why the politics is the way it is right now, that it's based on your identity. Y'all know, like, it's crazy because I think identity politics, in one case, it liberates people, then in another case, it confines people. Here's why, very quickly, then we got to take our first pause. It liberates people because people can come out and be very, unapologetic about who they are, whether they're part of LGBTQ, whether they're black, whether they're, what their political stand is. I mean, it liberates people, helps people to see like, oh, okay, this is where I stand. So we don't have to be in a closet, be afraid, be in the shadows to express who we are. The confining part is that that's how only people see you. that if you are part of LGBTQ community, like you can't be conservative. They always assume that you're going to be liberal about everything. Or if you are a black woman, that you won't think about that you may not have the quote unquote the best interest of the Democratic Party at heart, that you are a disgruntled black woman. Like you can't be that. You know what I mean? Like you can't. So it's liberating and confining at the same time when you talk about this. So it is interesting. I think it is interesting that Representative Barbara Lee was expecting something, but we don't know. Like this is only for the interim, as we said, but at the same time, you know, it goes back to that big age-old discussion, folks, that, you know, like you got Representative Barbara Lee. She's 3 years shy of being 80 years old. She wants to be in public service, right? Which is all well and good. And I'm not against that. But I do think that there's something to this gerontocracy, as some people have framed it, within our government that we really need to have a more nuanced conversation around, because it does get into the way. You mean to tell me that out of all of the brilliance that's coming from the next generation, people my age, that we're not qualified to lead this country into a more progressive and better place? Yeah. Tiana, I'm right with you as I take my first pause. This is going to be a very interesting primary. And the governor did a little shake up here in the state of California. And we will have to see how it all pans out. Look, I got to take a quick pause when we come forward. Let's talk about your favorite president, or past president, former president, Donald Trump, as we talk about his civil fraud trial has officially began today, and he was on hand. We're going to take a quick pause, and we come back, and I'll share with you what he had to say on the first day of the trial. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punching! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to the Culture here on the Black Star Network. Folks, y'all are still talking about this in the chat as we're streaming live on YouTube. Just go under Roland Martin on YouTube and join us in the Culture and the Culture Crew as we have these conversations. You can just jump right in the chat, folks, and we will do our best to try to get all of our new voices heard on the show. But there's so much conversation about this, about as we've been talking about Governor Gavin Newsom tapping Miss LAPHONZA Butler. Lisa, let's put a picture up of Miss Butler, as she has been tapped to fill in the vacancy left by the late Senator Dianne Feinstein. And she's just going to be there for the interim, but it's ruffled some people's feathers. It's ruffled some people's feathers. There she is. There go Miss Butler right there. Miss Butler is coming from a Democratic space. She's been around Democrat, and look, let me just tell you, behind the scenes, she's a strategist. She's been working with Vice President Kamala Harris. She's been around. This is not like new ground for her. If she was like complete neophyte, novice in this space, then it'd be one thing. But she's actually been around. She's been a strategist. Governor Gavin Newsom was looking at her to be his chief of staff at one point. She helped Vice President Kamala Harris in the 2020 campaign. So she's certainly, there she goes. Yeah, there it is. They're like besties. Like besties, but she's been around. So it's not brand new. Now, does she check off the boxes? Yes, she's Black. She's a woman. So that's what he said. He probably already had it in mind. So that's why he put it out there. Like, I'm going to choose a Black woman. But she's Black and she's a woman. She's a part of the LGBTQ community, which in California is not completely like, oh, you know what I'm saying? This is a space for that. There's a place for that here in the state of California. So it's not completely out. And she still she's still young, folks. And again, by her being so entrenched within the Democratic Party on the strategy side, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. Did identity politics play into it? It could have. It certainly could have. But that's the nature of politics. People, move the pieces around, and people, put people in position to advance certain interests and agendas. So I'm not surprised about that. Let me see my guy, Sean. Sean, you checked in. I'm looking for this. What you put down? Sean Brown. Sean, welcome to the chat. Thank you for joining us. You said it is very insulting for Farajii. This is an insult to Barbara Lee's qualifications. What is the real story behind Newsom rejection? Maybe they had beef. I don't know. Hey, Sean, brother, I don't know. Maybe it is beef. Maybe Newsom is saying, look, for this state, we need to move forward. That representative, and don't get mad at me, Sean. I'm not saying this in the throat shade, but Representative Barbara Lee, in his mind, may represent old California. You know what I'm saying? And Miss LAPHONZA Butler may represent new California. So is that wrong? I mean, and if we're talking about having new blood, and some of you have said that, getting new blood into the space, new blood into this thing, is that wrong? I mean, would you really be mad? Now, suppose he didn't choose a Black woman. Let's start the conversation there, y'all. Suppose the man did not choose a Black woman. He reneges on his promise that he would and chooses someone else. Then what will be the conversation? He should have chose the Black woman. But he chooses the Black woman, and it's like, no, you didn't choose the right Black woman. Help me to understand, y'all. Help me to understand. Help me to understand. Conscious thought, you responded to Lana when Lana said she doesn't owe them anything. Politicians jump all the time. We're trying to save democracy. And you asked the question, who owes who? Who owes who? Look, you want to look, if I was the governor of the state of California, folks, and I know that there is this political contention that's happening right within our government, right? Especially when it comes within Congress. You want to put the best people, your people, you're trying to get, she's close to him. She's close to the vice president. she hits those boxes, those identity politics boxes, a black woman, LGBTQ, right? She can make sure that she knows how the system works. Y'all get what I'm saying? Now, Representative Lee does that too, but will Representative Lee, does she get the same type of respect? Or do they just kind of, you know what I mean? And if you want people to continue to see your state as progressive, and you're governor of the state of California, you want people to see your state as progressive, and you put a black woman into this. And I said it before, and I'm not saying it just to be a jerk about it, but putting black women in powerful positions is a very, very, I don't want to use this word because I hate to say it like this, but I can't think of another word. Maybe crew, y'all think of another word. Trendy. It sticks. It resonates. Black women, y'all go to the polls consistently. Black women are the backbone of the Democratic Party consistently, right? Black women are more politically engaged than men are consistently. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Conscious Start, my brother, you said check the demographics in California, and then we can question who the governor chooses as an interim U.S. senator for the state. There are more Latinos here than blacks. We know that. We know that. But this is still black women. Y'all still represent a major block of the Democratic Party. Jen, now my sister, you said Barbara. I'm saying I was waiting for you. Barbara Lee has demonstrated her bona fides as a progressive leader and should be elected in her own right. Newsom didn't want to have to choose between the three running for that seat. I think that's a huge part of it too. I think that's a huge part of it. He didn't want to weigh in on it. Like give low. He thought he probably like, no, let them run, let them go, let the people decide on that. Right now, I need this done, I need that done. We need a win in this area right now. So I'm right there with you on that, Janelle. Thank you so much for posting that. Let's see who else we haven't heard from. Paul, you said Spectrum Internet sucks. Spectrum is like Comcast out here, y'all. For those who don't know, Spectrum is our cable company. Monkey, you said black men and black women are, but being the backbone is insulting. Okay. All right. Being the backbone is insulting. But it can be used as leverage as well, right? We can bring certain things to the table. Look, folks, look, we got to figure out what is it that we want. Because this has seemed like one of those moments where the man said he's going to put a black woman in. He put a black woman in, and now people aren't satisfied. What does Black America want? What do we want? Not what we're against, not what we're not for. What are we for? Are we for what? Do we want to see progressive leadership? Do we want to have full representation, whether it's from the LGBTQ community, from the church community, and the faith community? Do we want from the nationalist community? What do we want? And see, that's the thing that I'm starting to question, because when things like this do happen, and then I see the pushback, the resistance, I'm like, I thought we wanted stuff like this to happen. I mean, am I wrong in thinking that? What do we want? I thought we wanted progress. I thought we wanted somebody to take the Democratic Party, unless we talking about completely leaving the Democratic Party. Are we talking about that? Because if we're not happy with the direction the Democratic Party is going, and then we say, well, man, this is, and I mean, you can go to the other side, and that's fine. But what do we want, folks? David, you said, I want low rent and well-paying jobs for starter. Facts. Me too, David. I want that too. I want that too, man. But how do we get it? Who can we trust to bring in that type of change? I would love that. Absolutely love it. Tiana, you pointed out our representation should look like the country. And the country is changing, folks. The country is not as black as white and white as many people would want us to believe, as some media would want us to believe. The country is changing. The country is really, really changing. And it's becoming less about the skin or the identity of a person. It's more about the heart, right? It's becoming more like, are you willing to really be the people's representative, the public servant that folks have hope for you to be? You know what I mean? So I think the country is slowly moving into that direction. That we're like, and I think for black folks, a lot of black folks in this country, we're not going to be caught up in coming out of this space and that space. We're at such a crisis moment in this country that we actually just like, look, I don't care who you sleeping with, what you what your some of your politics are. We need help. If you're drowning, do you really question the person who's going to throw you the life preserver? We're drowning. We're drowning. Now, does that mean that these political leaders have the life preserver? They could, if they really do what we want them to do, they could. But the point is that if you are in trouble, doesn't matter what the person's color is, what their sexual orientation is, hell, what their political stance is, in some cases, when they're trying to save your life. Cindy, you brought in, we need to move beyond color and identity and focus on policy. I want to focus on policy, Cindy, and I want to focus on removing the red tape so real action can take place. Life Coach D, thank you, Cindy. Life Coach D, you checked in and said black folks need to be first at the all-inclusive stuff. Let that come later. But we need to be first and we're always shared with something or some type of agenda. You know why? You know why, Coach D? Life Coach D, and I appreciate that comment. Because we haven't fully tapped into the power. And when you got other people who are more organized, who are more clear about what it is that's important to them and what they want, right? They're more organized and they're clear, then they come across. Now, their numbers might not be as high. But when you're organized, when you have a strategy, you have plans, you have clarity, then guess what? You can have a small number of people that can come across as a mighty force just simply because you're more organized, versus a lot of people who are disorganized, who all want different things and don't understand how the system works. And so therefore you're coming across as being all over the place, loosey-goosey. So to your point, like Coach D, that we got to get into that place. And I want to go back to something my sister Corinna talked about. Because Corinna, you made a great point, and I can't find it, but I think you made that point. As we take our next pause, you said that that we want young people. If we wanted to get young people into office and into these positions, then young people would have to be more involved in the process. And I'm just just kind of like paraphrasing it here. Just paraphrasing, but that's where we are. Like, if we want to see some change, if y'all really think about the politics of young people, because I've heard this thing. If we think about the politics of the next generation, do y'all think that your politics of the next generation, of those who coming behind us, would align with your personal politics right now? That's a whole different conversation. But just think about that, because we want change, right? And my team and I, we were talking about this last week after the show. We always talk about we want change, but we don't want to change anything of ourselves first. You can't ask for change and then you don't make a change in the process. It just doesn't work that way. You can't be like, I want this, I want that, we need to change it. But then when it comes down to our personal choices, our decisions, our behavior, then we just like, oh, I'm not changing that. Everything else needs to change around me except for me. And it doesn't work like that. If we want change, then we would have to change, right? With the change. Otherwise, the change that we're calling for will not be in alignment with where we are. And then whatever we try to do in the midst of that change, it will not bear fruit. Y'all catch me on that one? The change that we're calling for will not be in alignment with where we are. And then when we are trying to make efforts in the midst of that change, during the course of that change, then our efforts won't bear fruit because this is not in alignment. So you can't say, oh, I want change. I'm not going to change myself. I'm not going to change my views. I'm not going to change my behavior. I'm not going to change, but I want everybody else to change. You ever been in a relationship like that before? Like you ask for your partner to change, to be better, to be a little bit different, to do things differently. And then when they ask you to do something differently, you don't want to change. Y'all ever been in a relationship like that? I'm just sipping my tea. I'll wait. It doesn't work like that, folks. If we want to see change, then we have to be prepared to change some part, not all of us, not all of it, but some part of ourselves. Let me see something. My sister Corinna, you said we need folks to think like it needed to be done instead of it ain't my problem or my job. Whew. Corinna, that's a whole different show. Why are you giving me another show topics? Thank you. But you're right. It needed to be done instead of it's not my job. And as I close this part out, the funny thing is that when we are seeing the way the government is moving, and we didn't even get to talk about Trump, but we'll talk about him later. Y'all know what's going on, but we'll talk about it. But the thing is that when we see what's going on, I think it scares people to a degree that now we have to be more engaged in our government, more engaged in what's going on, whereas before we weren't asked to do that. See, the government at this point requires, it demands, it becomes a duty of us to get involved, right? And that is a very different relationship than how we have been conditioned to think about the relationship between government and constituent. The constituent was always asked to do the low bar thing of going out to vote. That's very low. Like, and I know it's a big deal, but it's at the same time in the big scheme of things, simply voting, and I'm talking the actual exercise of going to the ballot, pulling a lever, casting a vote. That's a small thing compared to making your vote a reality, working on behalf of a cause that's going to make that vote a reality, advocating that's going to make that vote a reality, running for office to make that vote a reality. That's a different level of effort and work. So now we're in this new place where we're finding that the United States government can't do all of these things that we had always been told it can do. We're finding that because of everything from partisanship to what's going on with Trump, to what's going on with Democrats, like all of these things. So it's stopping progress. And so it forces us as constituents to rethink our relationship. It forces us to want to get, we have to get more involved. And that's scary to some people because then it sounds like, wait a minute, you want me to do work when the government's supposed to be doing this stuff. And guess what? Yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen. If we want to make America great, and I'm just using that very loosely because I know, if we want to really make democracy work, we're talking about the state of democracy. If we want to stop democracy, quote unquote, from falling, then we have to put in some work beyond the ballot box. Don't be scared. I'm right here with you. But we have to do some work beyond the ballot box. We have to first change our thinking about the relationship that we have with our government. And that's going to be a major mind shift when you've been conditioned for 20, 30, 40, 50 years of your life that government got it under control. What happens when the government doesn't have it under control? What happens then? So we're all in this process together. And that's why we're having these conversations. And I'm glad these big historic moments are happening because we can kind of process this all. But trust and believe, folks, we're going to have to get involved. We're going to have to stop being on the fence. We're going to have to stop wishing upon a star and hoping that a Superman is going to save us. If we want to save us, if we want to save democracy, if we want to be in a space to slow down the fall of America in some cases, then we have to do some work. We have to put in some sweat equity. We have to put in some time, and we have to use our talents to make this system and our country better. All right, I got to stop that. We're going to take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's check in with our doctor, Dr. Bridget, MD, as we give you another update and as we talk about a host of things for this week's Reclaim Your Wellness right here on The Culture. Stay with us. It's another, in the second half of the show, we'll have those conversations and so much more. You're tuning into The Culture right here on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches. I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA, and this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation, you and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together, so let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. It's time for us to check in with our doctor as we're going through all this other stuff. She's still keeping us informed about the things that are really important, which is our health and wellness, regardless of all the things that are going on in life, folks. If you are not healed, if you are not well, none of that other stuff really matters. So let's check in with our dear sister, Dr. Bridget Cole-Williams, for another exciting edition of Reclaim Your Wellness here on The Culture. Dr. Bridget.
Yes. Hi. How are you, Farajii?
I'm good. First and foremost, your locks. What is that? What is that? Velvet?
I'm telling you, I can't. I got tired of curling my hair. Like who wants to do that all day, right? Who wants to do that? So enough is enough.
Oh boy, you changed.
I think I lasted a week. Like I couldn't take it.
Okay. Okay, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. All right, Doc. Let's talk because there's a lot of things happening right now.
Yes, absolutely. So there have definitely been some headlines that have, we're seeing on social media and in the news. Number one, which I'm absolutely eating up every aspect of this, is Megan Thee Stallion has a new website called seizetheawkward.org, and she's urging you to check on your friends. So this really hit me immediately because this is a conversation that we've had multiple times on this show, that it is really important that we check on our loved ones and to make sure that they're doing well and really connect with people, because sometimes people are really going through a horrible time and you have no idea.
Now, can I throw something out there very quickly?
Yes.
I just want to know, when we check on their friends,
yes,
check on the strong ones, right?
Yes.
How do we check on them? We open up Pandora's box. How do we make sure that in the process of our checking on our friends that we are prepared for what may ever come from that on the other side? How do we make sure that our mental and emotional capacity is intact? Because it's one thing to be like, y'all good? And you know how black folks do. Yeah, I'm good, man. We got rent due, car about to be repossessed, school is children are acting up in school, blah. But we be like, nah, man, shit, we good. I'm good on this side, bro. You know what I mean? I stay hustling. I'm good. I'm maintaining and all that dumb stuff.
Yeah.
But if somebody ever got real and be like, hey, man, my rent due, I'm 2 months behind on the car, blah. This is happening, that is happening. Mm-hmm. How do we prepare for that part?
I think it's more than just, obviously, it's not just saying, checking in and moving on. I do recommend having some resources available, and we'll get into some resources that might be helpful for you when you're talking to someone. But many times it is just being present. You don't say go and fix your friend's problem. I said go and check on them. And so the very fact that you're saying I care enough, I can't fix it for you, but I can be here. I can stand ground. I can listen to you and maybe think out some things with you. So I think the problem is a lot of times we don't want to get into the conversation because we feel that we're responsible for fixing it. I didn't say fix it. I said stand and be there and hold space for them. And then together, maybe you can work on some ideas about what to do. But don't let the fact that you can't fix the problem stop you from engaging. Because when people are in a dark space, it just gets worse and worse and worse. And if you just have a little shining light saying, I see you, it can make a huge difference.
I love it. Because what it comes to my mind, Doc, is kind of setting up your boundaries. And I think all of us as adults, and especially I think just because we're going through this process called life. So I think all of us are now at a place where we know what our boundaries are, what we can and cannot do, what we can and cannot provide, right? Mm-hmm. So to your point, it's like, if I'm checking on someone, hey man, you good? Let me know if you need a listening ear, like identifying the things that I can actually do versus just having a blanket statement of, let me know if you need anything.
Yeah, that's different because they won't reach out. And even saying, hey, let me know if you want to listen, even saying I'm here and you can tell me and you can trust me. And I'm just going to be right here for a minute. And you know what? We're on the phone. You don't even have to say a whole lot. I'm going to be doing something over, you do that over there. But if you change your mind, I'm right here. Because when you say, well, let me know, they won't reach out. They won't reach out. Rarely do they do that. It's important to just say, You don't even have to say anything. I'm just going to sit on this phone and just be here. I'm just coming by. We don't have to do anything. I'm just going to, hang out. But you're shining that little bit of light. You're letting them know that they're not obligated to do anything. But when they're ready, you are there. And that's sometimes all that people really need to kind of start kind of digging themselves out of that hole.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're going to take a quick pause. When we come forward, I want us to kind of go further in this conversation. And crew, I want you to join me as we check in with Dr. Bridget Cole-Williams, MD. She's our family physician, our resident doctor, to give us some insight. Folks, how do you feel about this? When Megan said it, hey, check on your friends. How do you check in on your friends? Share with me your thoughts, and let's have the conversation around it. Plus, Dr. Bridget got a lot of other stuff that she wants to bring out into the forefront as we talk about health and wellness. For folks, stay with us. We got a lot more to cover here on today's edition of The Culture, right here on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all. All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. It is Monday, so, we check in with Dr. Bridget, MD, for this week's Reclaim Your Wellness. And we are very, very, very happy to have Dr. Bridget on here to give us some clarity on some piece of advice that hip-hop artist and superstar Megan Thee Stallion said. But she's not the only one that has been saying it. A lot of people have been much more vocal about saying, hey, check on your strong friends. That's how I've heard that advice, Doc.
Absolutely.
Check on your strong friends.
And we're really in this space where we're talking about this whole soft girl movement, which is the backlash of the strong women phenomenon that was coming out of the 70s and 80s, a complete backlash. And what is interesting is that this whole concept began, the whole soft girl era began on social media in Nigeria, that women started to rebel against this strong woman persona that we've taken on, that it wasn't about having a luxurious leisure life. Soft girl really meant being more comfortable in your own skin, wearing more comfortable clothes, being more just yourself, as opposed to the shield that we put on for others to appear strong. And so when you're looking at, that when you're talking about pulling away from that whole strong Black woman idea, that also goes with admitting and being more vulnerable to some of the mental health issues that we might be experiencing.
I just want to let that marinate for a minute, Doc, because you dropped something. First, I didn't know that movement started in Nigeria. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
And that just shows you it's a phenomenon across the world, right? For Black women, but we're all rebelling against it at this point. We're all trying to re-engage our femininity as opposed to living in our masculine space that many times we've had to do, sometimes because a lack of role model or partner or whatever it may be.
That resonating right now. That resonating. Look, yesterday, I had the great opportunity, and I'm working on this piece for Afro LA News, the local news agency here in Los Angeles that focuses on Black LA life. But I had a chance to go to a sound bath, and it was hosted by a brother who I'm going to be bringing on to the show, folks. He's going to be a part of this overall men's summit that we're going to have, named Zentola. And he hosted this sound bath out in the LA County Arboretum, and beautiful green space. And I realized something, like when you go out there, like, changing the energy, having conversations about everything from meditation to prayer. The beautiful thing that I like what Brother Zentola and his team is doing is that he's not saying that if you decide to go to like a sound bath, if you engaged in any type of practice of meditation, any practice of any of those, some would say new age healing practices, that is not outside of your religious affiliation, right? That you can still be a believer of God and do these things. So that's one of the things that I liked about his message. But the other thing is that I found, Dr. Bridget, that when I went there, it had to be about 100, 150 people there. It was a great turnout. It was a beautiful night. Majority of the participants were women. I would say probably 85 to 90% of those who took part in this sound bath were women. So I asked some of the organizers, I said, is this always the case? And the sister told me, yeah. She said, we are finding that men are resistant to having that level of healing. And I was like, wow. She was like, well, we're hoping that with you here that can change. And I was like, I'm gonna certainly do my part, because I think that Black men, we can benefit from getting reconnected to ourselves and reconnected to the God force within us. So it opened my mind up when you said that, like, we're kind of pushing back on this strong demeanor. The first thing that popped in my head was, I see that, but then I'm also wondering, well, when can a man be still a man and not have to, and still show his softer side, his feminine side, right?
Right. And the fact of the matter is, participating in yoga or sound bath or anything that might be on the more holistic side has nothing to do with masculinity by any sense, or religion, as you said, right? But I think the issue is does require a level of vulnerability.
Right. That's what I'm getting at, Doc. Exactly.
So to be in that space and to be open in that way, and be connected with your energy and sometimes the energy of the people around you, a level of vulnerability that I think men sometimes have been told not to keep the walls up, to have the barriers and to not participate in. And so I'm hoping that I mean, you're out in Cal, if they're not doing it in LA, where are they doing this? Like, where are folks doing this?
I mean, that is the, you're absolutely right. But see, look at the funny part about this brother, he's actually from Baltimore. So me and him connected on that level, right? But then I was like, and I told him this, I said, bro, it's a powerful thing that a black man like yourself, who has two young sons, they're like 20, 21, he had two brothers, they were there to experience this. And then I said, it's a powerful thing for you as a black man to host this type of convening where black women show up and start the process of healing while hearing the voice of the facilitator of a black man. And I said, the only reason I'm saying it like that is because from my experience, and I'm not saying this is for all sisters, but a lot of the healing has started because of the trauma that black men have inflicted on black women. And so it becomes a very deeply spiritual thing that a black woman would go to seek some sort of spiritual guidance, some sort of spiritual healing from a black man, right, in this place. So it opened up, and he took that and he said, brother, I truly appreciate it. I'm humbled by that. And I say, that's a very powerful position to be in. That as a man, that you can attract women like that.
I think it goes back to, again, that soft girl era, or wanting to be led instead of always leading. And so, and, there's great statistics that says, that most medical decisions, 80% of medical decisions are made by the woman in the household. Okay. So the fact that you have all those women there, what I would love to see is that they're there, and then they bring back maybe their son, they bring back their partner, they bring back their father. I'm hoping that as his community grows, it's important, maybe that wasn't the idea, but it's important that those women are there because they do make the decisions around wellness. Maybe they will go home and say, you know what, this will be good for you. And it's led by a black man. So why can't you can come, he can do it, you can do it. You see what I'm saying? But
Let me ask you something very quick.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Doc. I'm sorry. I'm getting excited, but go ahead. No, I was just saying, let me ask. So I was just going to ask very quickly, and I know we got to take another pause, but when you are in a space like that, when a black man taps into himself like that, that changes the dynamics of everyone that's around that brother, right? Same thing with the woman. Like you saying, if 80% of those decisions of health and wellness are made by women, then what happens when that woman taps into her inner femininity, releases some of that masculine energy that has been imposed on her? Then what about the children in the household? Who else is in the household? How does that affect the household? I know that's a big question, but I just want to kind of get your take on that.
I mean, I think you get a household that's put back into balance. Like when and I'm not talking, and I don't want people to take this the wrong way. I'm not talking about like in terms of being submissive, or I'm not talking about Stepford wives I'm talking about you being in the space that is naturally yourself, and you're completely in balance and at peace.
Yeah.
And that the man is fulfilling his role that is comfortable for him, and that he is naturally at peace. And when you have balanced energy, your children pick up on that, and it's not even about roles, because I mean, the man could be the primary person that cooks. But when you're in your natural essence, you create a household that is more in balance.
And we're going to stop it right there. I got to stop you right there. I got to stop you. I just got to take a quick pause. Because you about to take us to school. You about to take us to school. Look, folks, we're talking to Dr. Bridget. Y'all know how we do. We're talking about reclaiming your wellness. Today, we're talking about checking on your friends, but more importantly, how to balance the energy and how to get in touch with who you really, really are. As we're talking about checking on your friends, how to take down the mask, how to break down the walls, how to really reconnect yourself and with your creator and what that will do. Folks, we want you to join us in the conversation. We're streaming live on YouTube under Roland Martin. We're streaming on Facebook and on all our various platforms. But stay with us. The conversation continues on the other side, right here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Your money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20036-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. Welcome to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Checking in with our sister, Dr. Bridget, M.D., for this week's Reclaim Your Wellness with Dr. Bridget. And Dr. Bridget, you're taking me to spirit school right now. You're taking me to school.
You know, I think it's important. I hate the idea that even connecting with wellness and more your vibration and energy is in any way seen not masculine. Like, that's just disturbing to me. Like, it seems if any
very
I think it's
very
masculine. I think it's very, because it is really you being in your true essence. And how is that less masculine? And why?
Well, it's less masculine when you're talking about a white supremacist view of what manhood and masculinity looks like.
Okay.
I mean,
so that's
seriously.
being like closed off. That's being the board.
Stoic.
But if you think about who we are as a people, that is, if anything, that is like extreme. Like, to be open, vulnerable, and leading is incredibly masculine, and that what you're talking about should never be seen any less than that.
No, I agree with you. Look, they die. Totally agree with you on that. And I think that's part of the reason why these type of conversations need to be had, just because to affirm to men, to black men, to all men, that it's okay to be open and vulnerable, even if you get some resistance and some pushback and some ridicule. I'm not closing myself back up to try to appease or appeal to people who aren't conscious or who aren't in tune with themselves. What do I look like dimming my light, stopping my essence from being what it's supposed to be, because I want to make you who are ignorant or who is closed in, who is thinking in the dark ages for whatever reason.
Mhm.
What am I to try to shrink myself down for you?
Mhm.
Please, please. I'm not doing that anymore. And I think that, to your point, that it's important that men hear that. Like there's a safe space. And even if nobody gives you a safe space, whether it's in your relationship, your romantic relationship, your friendship, your family relationships, right? You got to do that for yourself. Like nobody can, somebody makes you feel like, well, you know what? I'm gonna find peace in heaven within me.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And if anything, and if it is of any help, consciousness is sexy. Does that make sense? Being able to be
oh gosh,
your own
please.
mindset and to have that liberation and freedom and comfort. Consciousness is sexy. So if men are sitting in their little box thinking, oh, I'm going to keep up the walls and the barriers and just be uptight. Nobody wants to see that. What is that? That's cool.
You said, what is that?
What is
look,
that, right?
look. We there's the deep vulnerability that you're talking about, Doc. And people really understood. And I've heard from Black men and Black doctors, when you hold all that stuff in, and I'm sure you can go and talk to us about this for days. When you hold that stuff in, as women always encourage men to do, when you can't use your words, come on, man, somebody talk to me. When you can't use your words, when you can't express yourself, this is a very small ask of any man.
Yeah.
To be able to express himself, to be able to put words together, and to come up with a complete thought, to get in tune with his emotional self. And when you don't take the time to cultivate that, I mean, it's a hell of a thing, man. You in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, and you can't even open up your damn mouth to say, I can't, I'm sad, or I mean, look, my daughter is 4, and she comes in and said, Daddy, I feel this way today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you got grown ass men that's like, I don't have the words to describe. Brother, you know how many words are in the English language? Like, come on. This is 2023, man. We really, and I'm gonna say this, Doc, we really don't have too much of an excuse. Yeah, we could talk about white supremacy, the white man, the system, the man got his, I hear all of that. But in 2023, where there are outlets, where there are safe spaces for men and for women to learn how to communicate, to become emotionally intelligent and mature, there are spaces for us to network with other like-minded individuals, to surround yourself with friends who are going to be supportive in your growth, your journey, your evolution.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
Absolutely. There really isn't. Work on yourself. Work on yourself. And you cannot lead in silence. You have to be able to communicate. And so, so just in saying that Megan Thee Stallion's first website where she addresses mental health issues has incredible resources for men and women. And that is the Bad Bitches Have Bad Days Too. Incredible like I was just blown away with the resources that were on that site, and that she divided them up into resources for men, resources for women. Like this one that she's doing now is great with the Seize the Day, and it has a lot of great information, but Bad Bitches Have Bad Days Too is a great website and definitely worth checking out as well.
If you get past the name, right?
What's that?
I said, once you get past the name.
But she I mean, it caught your attention. You didn't forget it, So, when it says Bad Days Too, TOO.com, so that you're getting the whole thing in there, but it's definitely worth taking a look at if you're looking for resources. And another one that really hit me was the Center for Interactive Mental Health Solutions. It is an 8-session interactive therapy program you do on your own pace for depression. So if you are that person that just, I don't want to see a therapist, okay, whatever it is, check that out. The CIM is in man, CIMHS.com, Center for Interactive Mental Health Solutions, has a free 8-session interactive therapy program, which I thought was a great idea and definitely worth looking at. But just to kind of get back to even that vulnerability and how people behave when you're checking on someone, because you can randomly check on someone that's doing fine, of course, but what are you looking for? And you're looking for someone who, we often, if we have a friend or family member that all of a sudden is, barking at people, cussing people out, giving, ignore him, he's acting crazy, don't be bothered with him, that is the person that you are reaching out to. That is the person that you're stopping and you're hugging. If you have someone that all of a sudden that's more impulsive, more irritable than usual, that the slightest thing is kind of ticking them off and they're not usually like that, instead of rejecting them and saying, I don't like how you're treating me, keep yourself safe, of course, but that is probably the person that you need to check on the most.
That's true.
People that aren't functioning like themselves, they usually go out with you, or, they're at work, they're busy, and all of a sudden they're on the couch, they're not moving, I don't want to go today, they're usually at church, I'm good, I don't need to go. That's who you're checking on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love this. We got to take another pause. When we come forward, I know, Doctor, you got some other topics that we have to discuss as well. Folks, we are talking about reclaiming your wellness. I'm checking in with our sister, Dr. Bridget, MD, to give us some insight on how we can keep our wellness and our health intact and improve on it, folks, and even improve on it. So we'll continue the conversation on the other side. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punching! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Been chatting with my sister, our doctor, Dr. Bridget, MD, for this Reclaim Your Wellness segment. And I have to say, Doc, the stuff that you bringing up, the stuff that you touching on has been very, very I just feel like it's in total alignment with where folks are going, and even personally with them, the things that I'm seeing and I personally am experiencing. It's in total alignment. So, I'm so happy that, you gave us some resources around this issue of checking on your friends and just being vulnerable and resisting this idea of being strong all the time. And I think both Black men and Black women, that has been our label for so long.
When I was pulling together some of the notes for this, and the whole Black women are tired of the strong Black woman idea, but the whole time I was thinking Black men are tired of this crap too. But I think we fatigue as humans of the role. There's a little bit of a difference about who we are as women and who we are as men and what we get our energy from. And so what sometimes can exhaust a woman as far as being in their masculine energy, actually it energizes men, right? So that's what I'm saying. When you're in your role, when you're in your energy, it actually can fuel it. But we all get exhausted with having to put up walls or barriers, and have to wall off our own vulnerability because of society or expectations, in the world or in our home. So yeah, I do invite people to be more vulnerable, to let down that guard, to allow people to see them, because you have one experience on this earth, and you don't want to go out saying you never really experienced yourself. So be you, whatever that may be.
That's it. That is it. That is it. All right, Doc. So what other, I know that this also is a month around breast cancer.
Yes.
So this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Yes.
And,
so, I think people, it's one of the more visible awareness months that I think we have. And it comes out of the fact that for women, this is the most pronounced cancer that women experience outside of just lung cancer, which, is just one of the more popular or more present cancers overall. And for Black women, though we get it about 4% less than white women, the survival rate for us isn't great. And so I think it's really important to, I've had some older women that have obituary writing parties. Have you heard of this?
I haven't.
And they write their obituaries, like they're in the late 70s, and they're like, let's have a party and, write our obituary. I don't know. I'm just saying. Okay. But I encourage women to get together and say, let's make those appointments together, and let's get in for that breast cancer screening, and let's, make sure that we're taking care of ourselves, because, particularly after COVID, a lot of people fell off because, anything that was not absolutely an emergency just stopped. And a lot of people have not gotten back on board with their preventive care. And so it's really important that, and keep in mind, at one point we were saying that we should now start screenings at 50, but the current guidelines are that breast cancer screenings, you should really begin at age 40. And that you should be really going every other year from age 40 to 74. Okay. So if you haven't
every other year, it's not every year.
It's for the most part, they're saying every other year right now.
Okay.
It does, but this is what they're saying. And that if you do not, if you have a family history but no gene mutation, you should start beginning screenings about 5 years earlier than the earliest age of the family member that had breast cancer. So if you had a family member that did get breast cancer, let's say at 40, you should be getting it at 35, or you should make sure that you start your screenings earlier if you have a family history without gene mutation. But if you have gene mutation, you should probably start screening at age 25. Okay. So keep all that in mind, because I think many times if there's a gene mutation, those family members are in the loop because they've all been tested or what have you, but sometimes they're not. And so if there's a gene mutation, you're starting a lot earlier at age 25. If there is a family history, start 5 years earlier than the earliest family member that had breast cancer. And with no family history, make sure you start at 40.
Wow. But you're saying 25 years old. I never heard a doctor say as early as 25 years old. That is
that's like that real extreme, the BRCA genes, which can be, you've seen where there are young women that have chosen just to have double mastectomies, and because the gene is so strong in their family that they chose to just avoid Angelina Jolie actually caught flack for doing that. She had a double mastectomy because she had the gene in her family. And some idiots tried to give her a hard time about that which is absolutely insane. When you have the likelihood that young, that likely to have breast cancer, do whatever fits your needs as far as staying safe.
What are some of I know that breast cancer, the science around, identifying breast cancer and then really addressing the issue has improved greatly over the past 30 years. But give us some insight as to what women can do along with the doctor visits in terms of can there be some remedies that women can rely on that's in the kitchen? Can health and can exercising do anything? Are there other things that women can do to put them in a better position to not get breast cancer?
So, number one, I would say don't ignore things that you might be dismissing as normal. So if you're having breast tenderness and soreness, there's some aspect of that might be a poorly fitting bra. Sometimes it's just hormonal. But if you're noticing that you're having a lot of tenderness and it seems abnormal, then I would go into the doctor. If you're noticing any skin changes whatsoever, whether it's within the areola, the nipple, or the breast skin tissue itself, go into the doctor. The biggest problem that we have is that there's a sign and we ignore the sign. So let me start there, right? We often talk about decreasing soy content, particularly if you've had issues in the past, because and to know your breasts well, right? That at one point we were saying doing a lot of self-breast examination, and it led to a lot of biopsies that many times weren't needed. But Black women notoriously get a lot of fibroids. Fibroids are benign tumors that can be hormonally activated. And a lot of times we're familiar with them being in the uterus, but they can also bring breast tissue as well. So as Black women, I still say know your breasts well. And if you notice a pebble, a marble, anything that just your tenderness seems to be different than it usually is, or it's increasing, get in and get that ultrasound. Because previously mammograms themselves are the hallmark of being able to test for breast cancer, but we also do ultrasounds, particularly if women are younger. There's now MRI scanning for breast tissue as well. We're doing more than we used to do, and don't be afraid of getting this done. It can literally save your life. Mammograms might be annoying, but cancer is more annoying.
There it is. Look, I got to take another quick pause. When we come back, Doc, I got one more question about this, and then we get some final remarks from you. Folks, stay with us. We're still talking health and wellness with Dr. Bridget here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black
own media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. We've been checking in with our doctor, Dr. Bridget, MD, and October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So there are going to be a lot of discussions about breast cancer and awareness and more importantly, getting checked out and all of those things. But here's the one thing that I think, Doctor, and we got a final few minutes. There are two questions. So the first question is around the relationship that Black women have with their doctors. And I'm reading the story of one of our crew members, Robin Welch. She said, someone I know had a daughter who passed away of breast cancer at 26 years old because the doctor wouldn't see her before because they said she was too young, even though she had symptoms. She said, Robin said, she tried to get help at 25, but the doctors refused to see her until it was too late. So talk to us about how do Black women, and I appreciate you sharing that story, Robin, because I think that's this is a huge problem where Black women go to the doctors. They know something is wrong, but the doctors either don't believe them, don't give them the time to really run tests and all of those things, or if the doctors do see them, they give them mixed diagnosis, happens often with Black women. So how does a Black woman navigate through all of that confusion to figure out what's going on with her?
I mean, and this even leads back to the mental health part. Like the assumption is that Black women don't receive, or just Black people in general don't receive mental health resources because they don't want to accept the medications. And there's some of that, but in reality, we don't seek out mental health solutions and resources because we've had really bad experiences in the healthcare realm. Okay. And so once you have a bad experience or a family member has a really horrific experience, we tend to lean back. Okay. And the one thing I will tell you is trust yourself. Trust yourself. If it does not feel right, do not stop until it does. Okay. And so what if you do get multiple, I've had people come to me, I told them what I think, they want a second opinion. I don't blink because I'm not in their body. I'm confident about what I'm sharing. But if you're not confident with what I'm sharing, you need to feel, I don't need you. It's not about me. And if it's about the doctor, then you definitely need to move on. Okay. So be confident about something doesn't feel right. This doesn't sit well with me. If the encounter is more argumentative than complimentary, coming together and sharing that information, then even more, you need to find somebody else. There's nothing wrong with that. It is taxing, it's exhausting. I'm literally going through 100 different moves, even with my own daughter with some healthcare issues right now. And people want to blow me off. And I'm a doctor and I talk a lot. And they still... Okay.
Wow.
So, but I will not stop until I am confident with what's going on. And so that's first and foremost. Okay. Don't be afraid to do some of your own research. Don't be afraid to say, hey, listen, I know this is rare, but it happens. Don't be afraid to get the second, third, and fourth. It's exhausting, but you need to sleep well at night. Okay. And if you feel like, look, I just need to get, like, if I could just get a scan, blah, blah. And keep in mind, there are issues why, because the insurance companies really control the medical market. There are times where I want to order something for you, but literally your insurance company won't let me. So that does happen. And I've been in that case and I've had to argue things down at times, but you keep pushing until you are at peace. No one goes home with you but you. You are the only one in your body. So you just have to keep pushing and do some of your own research as well.
That's a great point. And then the final question is around men. Men possibly getting breast cancer. We don't hear too much about this, but it does happen. So talk to us a little bit about that. What are some of the preventative measures that Black men and other men can take?
Well, I mean, the fact of the matter is the numbers are low, but the breast tissue is still there. And so the fact of the matter, I go back to, if you feel a pebble, feel tenderness, if you see skin changes, go and get it checked out. The mammary tissue is there just like it is in women. And when cells aren't developing like they should, and get it checked out. It may be rare, but it can still happen. The one thing I mention is that it's really important that as we get older, we continue to take care of ourselves, okay? Because there's a great increase in breast cancer if women are overweight or obese after menopause. And so a lot of times it's harder to lose weight after menopause. Some people keep trying. Some people say they throw in the hat, and the risk of breast cancer does increase significantly because with more fat is increased estrogen. And so I'm not talking about everyone's got to be a certain size. I'm not a huge fan of the BMI measurement, but I am very cognizant of being healthy and being fit for your body, and don't put yourself in that realm. Particularly if you're at a weight that's not appropriate for you.
Right.
So there's other things about your foods and alcohol and caffeine and, all these things. But if I say, hey, eat more plants, drink more water.
There it is. There it is. It's just that simple. It is just that simple. Doc, you always drop the jewels, and I truly appreciate it. Folks, y'all can check out Dr. Bridget each and every Monday here on The Culture. Doc, talk to us. Are you doing an after chat about any of these topics?
So we're actually doing a really great one. We're doing the after chat at 5:30. I saw some of the comments, so we'll be talking about some of the comments that were here. The after chat's been great, so thank you for the people that come to Dr. Bridget MD Instagram Live. And then the second half of that hour, we are doing healthy relationships only, and we're talking about big booty energy. So tune in for that.
Why didn't we talk about that here?
I did not offer that to you as an option. I did not. So
we'll talk offline, because it sounds like we got some changes in the relationship here at this point. All right, Doc, you'll have your after chat at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as you talk about just a little bit of what we discussed today, along with something new that I didn't even know. But it's okay.
Hey, listen.
It's your page. You could do whatever you want.
No. You were invited. Come on up. I would love to have your input. I would love to have your input.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. Make sure y'all follow Dr. Bridget MD on all social media platforms. And just know that if you happen to pick up a copy of her book, Courage and Cannabis Volume 1 and Volume 2, it is actually available wherever books are sold. So you want to pick up a copy about that. It's not only just talking about the cannabis industry, but also give you stories, real life stories of people who have benefited from that medication, and so much more. The doctor's always doing something around some parts of the country. So we are very, very excited and always happy to have her join us here on The Culture. Dr. Bridget, thank you so much for being so good for the culture.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us today. Make sure y'all do your due diligence. Continue to support us here on the Black Star Network. Go to our website today at blackstarnetwork.com, blackstarnetwork.com, and download the app for free. Follow us on social media. And we want to encourage you to support Black Star Network as we do on this great work of digital media. Now, big shout out to Mr. Ronald Rogers. Can we get like a big horn for Mr. Ronald Rogers? He did something amazing today. He gifted 5 Roland Martin memberships. There we go, Ronald. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the crew. You've gifted 5 memberships to Cindy D, Game Queen 81, Sheila Javary, Cougar Lady 1, and Linnell Motley. Thank you, Ronald, for the incredible gift of gifting our wonderful culture crew. There you go. These fantastic memberships and being a part of the Bring the Funk fan club. So we truly, truly appreciate you, brother. I know you say you in Canada, you watching what's going on here in America, and that you stand with us from Canada. That's what I'm talking about. Solidarity is a beautiful thing. So Ronald, thank you again, brother, for your support. All right, folks. Make sure you also follow me on social media at The Real Farajii on Instagram. I would love to connect with you, as well as on all social media platforms. Folks, in 2 weeks, woo! See, we're getting the conversation slowly started, but in 2 weeks, Lise, put up the picture for us, please, Lise. Just throw it up there. There we go. Black Men Summit is happening, folks. It kicks off on the 28th anniversary of the historic Million Man March, October 16, 2023. We're going to be having a conversation about Black men, for Black men, of course, with us in mind as the community. So we're going to be doing our part to advance the conversation. When I tell you who we have on the lineup, folks, oh my gosh. It's Monday, we're kicking it off. We're kicking off strong, talking about spirituality, talking about why it's important for Black men to become connected to themselves and to their creator, to their God. However the name is, spirituality lays the foundation of the work that we're going to be embarking upon. And all that week, we're going to be having these conversations about Black men. Sisters, don't get mad. Just encourage your male friends, your brothers, your niece, your nephews, your grandsons. Encourage all the brothers to chime in, and we'll do our part to make sure we have these dynamic conversations. But I'm telling you, these aren't going to be lightweight brothers that I'm going to have on here by the grace of the God. These are going to be men of great, great substance that it's going to push the conversation. So, Lise, let's throw that poster back up there very quickly. Black Men Summit, redefining and celebrating Black manhood, hosted by yours truly, kicking off on Monday, October the 16th, all the way to Friday, October the 20th. 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we're going to be doing our due diligence to celebrate and to redefine what it means to be a Black man in America. So I thank you, and I'm looking forward to the conversations. All right, folks, that's enough for me. Big shout out to my production team, Joel, Shannon, Maddie, Chris, my sis Lise, and my man King Keenan for doing this production and making it all happen today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Make sure y'all follow us on social media as always. And more importantly, stick around because at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Roland Martin Unfiltered is coming right at you. So make sure y'all stick around for that. But as always, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong. Stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. God willing, we will talk tomorrow for another exciting edition right here on The Culture, exclusively here, right here, only here on the Black Star Network. Talk to you soon. Have a great evening. Peace.